back. It is the final day of the WikiLeaks founder Julian Assange's appeal here in London against extradition to the United States.
Well, there was a hearing yesterday. It's a two-day hearing. The High Court in London will consider whether Assange can challenge his extradition. However, he's been held in Belmarsh prison for almost 5 years and he has been too ill to appear in court.
His lawyer, Jennifer Robinson, spoke to Patrick Christie on the Channel last night, and this is what she had to say.
Really unwell. Obviously, the fact that he couldn't even participate remotely to follow the proceedings today shows just the toll that this long, drawn-out proceedings and being in Belmarsh, a high-security prison, has had on him, and the prospect and the being at the sharp end of this case and what it would mean for him to be extradited to the United States. The toll.
Well, this morning we are joined by Gabriel Shipton, the brother of Julian Assange, and he can give us all the very latest. You're expecting this to be a very difficult day for your brother.
That's right. We'll be hearing from the United States. They'll be putting their case as to why this appeal shouldn't be going ahead. And usually these are, the hardest days for us and our family to hear from Julian's persecutors who have been keeping him in this prison for the last 5 years, not serving a sentence. He's not convicted of anything. He's there solely at the request of the people we'll be hearing from today.
I'd have to say to you, Gabriel, I mean, you talk about his persecution there and whatever. That's not how a lot of our audience see it. What way do you see him? How would you describe who he is, what he's done?
I would just, Julian is a technologist. He used the internet, the infrastructure of the internet and encryption technology to sort of invent a new paradigm of publishing.
What do you think when people talk about him being a journalist and, standing up for journalistic principles and things when, as you've just described there, he's not a journalist?
I would say he's a journalist and a publisher, but using technology to do that in a new way that maybe we're not so used to. And the thing about this indictment, it doesn't really matter if Julian's a journalist or not. What it does is criminalise journalistic activity. So publishing truthful information, the relationship between a source, a journalist and a publisher. That's really what is at the heart of this indictment and why you see journalistic organisations coming out in support of Julian, Freedom of the Press Foundation, the ACLU, all saying that these charges should be dropped.
Except he's facing espionage charges, and obviously he claims that, in fact, what he was doing was journalism. I would just say, from a journalist's point of view, there is an argument to say, with that title comes a level of responsibility, and just publishing without any form of sort of editorialising or consideration, because, I mean, he wasn't able to be across every single detail of what he put out into the web, and therefore posing huge security risk. Whether or not that ended up causing harm, he was lucky if it didn't. He had a responsibility to check all of that, which he didn't do.
Well, I would say that he did do that, and that's what we've seen, the testimony in the courts, that Julian was one of the key people who was working on redacting names. His process was actually more rigorous than the partners that he had, so than The Guardian or the New York Times or Der Spiegel in Germany. So I think that's a common misconception, and really have to push back on that. And the fact that he partnered with all these media organisations to do this publishing effort sort of speaks to that dumping claim, that he partnered with these organisations. So it wasn't really a dump; it was a curated publishing effort combined with all these legacy media institutions.
This is what you're saying, Andy. This guy caused many undercover people to be expensed and killed. He stole secrets, full stop. John said, can we just get rid of him? It's cost us tens of millions of pounds in taxpayer money already. He put lots of service personnel at risk, and not only that, he had the alleged rape allegations against him from Sweden, and then, while he was on bail, someone put £250,000 up for grabs. He broke that, and the person lost all that money. He's a complex character, isn't he?
Yeah, and I think the focus has really been on him and what he's done and his character, when it should be on how this affects everybody, and the sort of unfairness of the UK-US extradition treaty, how the US can use its espionage laws now to reach into the United Kingdom and grab whoever they want. So I think that's really an attack on UK sovereignty in a sense, and that extraterritorial application of US law into Britain should be something that concerns everyone.
Gabriel, what is it that you're so concerned about if he remains behind bars but in the States? I mean, he's been in Belmarsh for 5 years. You're not happy about that, but you'd prefer he stayed here than to go there. In the States, Chelsea Manning, who obviously provided him with a lot of the material, she had her sentence commuted by President Obama. He understood the precedent that could have on journalism. Why do you not think that the same treatment could be given to your brother?
Well, we would have seen this, this prosecution dropped a long time ago if that was the case. I think Chelsea Manning was her sentence commuted in 2017, so that's 7 years ago now. The sort of prison conditions that he would face there, have been found to be torturous. The UN Special Rapporteur on Torture called on the United Kingdom just last week to put a stop to this extradition because of the prison conditions that he would face. So that's what we're really concerned about, that he's extradited, his lifeline to his family, which he has here. He has 2 small children who can visit him in the prison, will be cut off. He'll be lost to us. No communication, put in solitary confinement. Chelsea Manning was kept in solitary confinement. She tried to kill herself. And so what her jailers did was they stripped her naked and put her back in solitary confinement. So that's what Julian has to look forward to if he's extradited to the US.
Well, you do the crime, you pay the time. A lot of people will be saying to you about that, Gabriel. How do you think today will play out?
Well, today, we'll hear from the prosecution. Ultimately, it's up to the judges whether they give leave to appeal. We've heard some very strong arguments yesterday from Julian's defence about how this was a real political prosecution to begin with. Started out by Mike Pompeo, then CIA director in 2017, who really made it his priority to go after WikiLeaks and really ramp up from 2017 until we saw Julian taken out of the embassy in 2019. So today I think we'll hear the response from the prosecution, which is, as I said earlier, it's always hard for us to hear that from
And briefly, because we are out of time, but we understand Assange is too unwell to be in court himself. You saw him just a few weeks ago. Can you give us an update on how he's doing?
Yeah, I don't know what's actually wrong with him at the moment while he's not able to attend, but he has had adverse health events in the prison in Belmarsh before. He had a hearing in 2021 where he had a mini stroke, so we just hope it's not another event like that.
Okay. Yeah. Gabriel Shipton, thank you very much indeed.
Thank
Julian
you.
Assange's brother there. Now, we want to know from you, has that changed your mind listening to what Gabriel had to say about Julian Assange or not? What do you think should happen?
On the question, the burning question that you had this morning about how come they have different names, I asked him, different mothers, I believe that's right, isn't it? Same father, different mothers.